Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out the Tianwei model kit, which is a really cool design and really cool just because of the fact that this is kind of like the first real release from like an original Mecha model or a third-party kit, basically, that is sort of in the style of like an MGSD. We have seen that sort of before, actually long before Bandai made MGSD. There was an unofficial sort of MGSD type of kit of the ARC 78-2, which was really cool. Some of you guys might remember that one from like way back in the day. But this is kind of like the first real response from third-party companies to make something in the style of MGSD, but a completely original design here with this one, which does a little bit remind me of the Wing Zero. I think just because of the colors and because of like the boosters that it's got on the back and everything, but still really cool looking design for this one. Looking forward to checking it out. Let's go ahead and get into it here for today's video. So just taking a quick look around the box before we dive in. This is one of those boxes where it's got stuff going on around all sides of the box here, but here on the front you have some cool artwork there, which basically looks just like a sample build of the model kit, just with a bunch of effects and illustration stuff kind of added there in the background. That looks cool. On the bottom side, illustration, line art, and that's what we have on the back side there as well with the big titling. But on the sides of the box here, we have a shot of the model kit here in a different action pose using the sword rather than the rifle that you see in the hand on the front. On the other end of the box, a bunch more images here showing the front and back, and then a few different action poses. So those what seem to be like thruster sort of binders there at the back, I guess can also be like cannons or something. So on the top side then just the titling, and that's it for the box. Diving into the contents inside then, we've got basically what is another, like what's on the back side of the box there essentially. Just line art of the bust of the design. That's cool. And all of our runners and stuff inside here, but this is pretty interesting. We also have what looks to be like a full metal frame here for this, and a battery and LED unit. I'm gonna guess that's for in the head, either in the head or the chest, we'll see. But pretty cool to see this chibi metal frame here for a kit like this. So as per usual for this kind of metal frame for a kit like this, it's a mix of die-cast metal parts and then plastic parts in between. But you can see it's gonna look pretty normal if you've ever built any of these kits that do come with like pre-built metal frame like this. It looks pretty standard. This is just in smaller proportions. And we'll get to the rest of the runners in a moment, but let's first also check out the instruction manual here, which features the same box art on the front, line art on the back, some water slide decals. We'll take a look at those in a moment. On the inside, here's the parts list and construction. It seems like it's going to be one of those typical instruction manuals where there's not really a whole lot to see as far as photographs of the kit. Well, I could be wrong, because we go here to the back. Here's the decal guide right there, and then we've got a couple of pages here featuring some nice big sample photos of the kit, all built and I would assume painted up as well, although I'm not sure. It might be unpainted and just with the decals on, panel line and top coat maybe. I don't know. It looks really nice though. So some nice poses there for your reference. As for the decal sheet here, it looks like we've got a mix of white, red, dark gray, and a little bit of blue in there as well for our markings for this. A bunch of different caution markings, and then some of this NPLER. I'm not really sure what that's a reference to. I don't know exactly, but anyway, decals for this look really nice. As for the runners then, first we've got this runner here for the display base. Pretty simple. It's just a kind of base with some mechanical detail on there, an arm for that, and so it's not going to be anything too fancy, but a base is better than no base. And then our first couple runners here for the kit, runners A and B, are going to be some of our inner frame and mechanical detail parts here, parts for the weapon there as well. You can see this is in a dark gray, and it's a minor thing, but I really like the fact that the runner label there, the A, is printed on both sides, so no matter which way you're looking at the runner, if you had it backwards or something like that, just kind of helps to keep everything organized that you can see where that's marked on both sides of the runner. Runner C is in a sparkly clear green, and it's interesting, like a little bit of a darker green color, not like fluorescent clear green, which I think would have been nicer, but we'll see how this looks on the kit. First, a couple little clear green parts there. Then runners D and E are back to more inner frame parts there. One of runner D, two of runner E here. Runner F we have two of as well. It's going to be our kind of orangish yellow color here for some of the accents. And then runner G we have two of as well, and it's going to be all of our red parts here for the kit. The details on there do look really nice. The next few runners are just going to be some more dark gray parts for the frame. Runner H here, a long kind of oddly shaped one. Runner I as well. This looks to be mostly like just our hand parts here. So I would imagine these are designed for multiple variants in the future to reuse some of these runners. So like here, for example, this I runner is just hand parts that can be reused for other future releases in the line. Here's runner J. We have two of these. for a few bits on there. And then runner K as well, a few parts here. Looks like basically just for like mechanical arms, probably for the connection parts to the binders on the backpack, something like that, I would assume. And then finally, we're getting into some larger full-size runners here. For runner L is in a dark blue there. We've got 2 of those, and runner M is also here in dark blue for a bunch of those parts. Lastly then, all of our white armor pieces, and it is in like a cool white color here. For runner N, we've got 1 of those, and O, we've got 2 of those for all of our white, sort of slightly off-white color parts. And again, looks like a lot of really nice detail on there that's going to look really good if you were to go in and panel line this, but we'll see how the kit's going to look. Let me go ahead and get it all built up, and we'll check it out. All right, and then once we got it all put together, here is the finished product. It looks really, really nice. Really impressed with how this came together. The construction was pretty simple, obviously, because you have that pre-built frame. You know, that's a good chunk of the building process that's already kind of done for you there, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And so it was a fairly quick build, actually putting this together, but still, it wouldn't necessarily look like it from the outside because of all that detail on there. It looks really nice, and I think this is going to go really, really well with your MGSD kits. If you've been building and enjoying the MGSD line, then this is going to look just perfectly at home next to those in your display, just because the details and proportions and everything I think match up so well. But really impressive look for this. It feels super solid in hand too because of that metal frame. It has a really nice weight to it. So definitely a kit that I'm going to recommend to you guys, just to jump the gun a little bit. But let's take it back and check out the accessories here first, and then we'll get into some more of the details. First of all, as you can see there, the kit can stand on its own despite having a pretty large backpack, and a lot of that is thanks to its metal frame that does make it pretty sturdy for sure. But we do have the included base. It's kind of simple, kind of plain, but just is going to attach either up under the waist, or you can attach the backpack onto it separately, which I'll show you here in just a second, the backpack. So we have 2 different adapter pieces there for the top of that. And basically, as you can see, there's no articulation points to the base, unfortunately. You can just kind of like rotate the arm of that from side to side, and that's really kind of about it. There's a rotation, I guess, like at the top too, so that's it. So otherwise, we do have some different hand option parts. As you can see, we have these open hands that I've got there on the kit at the moment. I do like the design of those. They are pretty cool looking, and then you have a joint in the wrist on all the hands too, so it's a nice point of articulation there as well. We've also got a set of finger pointing hands for the left and the right side, like so, and then our weapon holding hands, which are our articulated hands, so kind of like old master grade hands. The thumb is on a ball joint, the first finger is on a ball joint, and the second, third, and fourth fingers are on 2 joined ball joints there. And so these are what you're going to use for holding onto weapons, and as you'll notice in the hand, there's a hole there for the weapons to tab into the hand, which is nice. Now, the one thing that I wish we did have was closed fists. Unfortunately, we do not have those included. But for our first weapon here, we've got the rifle, sort of simple as it is, nothing really too much here going on with this. As you can see, the little tab in the handle is going to fold out from there, and that will plug into the hand. But the nice thing about this is that, as you can see, no seam lines on the outside of it, and it does have some nice color separation, but no like extension of the barrel or anything else like that. It's just kind of, it is what it is. Other main weapons going to be the swords here on the back. So these 2 are attached into the backpack and somewhat loosely. I mean, they're not like super solid in there. They fit into there well enough. But these 2 swords here are symmetrical. You can use them separately, or you can join them together. And so when doing that, you're just going to remove these handles. You have to omit those, join the 2 blades together back to back like that, and then slide in this alternate handle piece here, which just gives you a single handle for this larger, kind of wider sword there like that, if you wanted to use it just as one big sword. So that's really cool. And then one more thing to know about the sword handles that you'll notice, they all have this fold out tab that will tab into the hand just like with the rifle. And it's kind of interesting that when these separate handles, when they're not in use, it kind of would have been cool to have a beam effect part that you can use with that. I think that would have been really nice. Then we've got our piece here, which has a magnet inside. That's for turning on the LEDs. So you just touch that to the head there, turns on the LED, and the LED actually looks really nice. Doesn't come through the back there, because actually there is no like camera there at the back of the head, I guess. But just here at the front, for the front camera, and then the eyes. And you touch that again, and then I think it just kind of pulses on and off like that, and then touch it a third time and it'll turn it off. And the LED actually is quite bright and looks really quite nice on there, so I'm pretty happy with that, and easy enough to turn off on and off just with this magnet piece here. So that's nice. So as for the backpack, like I said, this can be removed. You have this like kind of sparkly clear piece there for what's meant to look like a kind of cockpit for this. You fold that up, and then you can rotate that around and then point this other part kind of back like that, and then this basically can just be flying on its own, and then you have a separate adapter for plugging this onto the base if you wanted to just have this flying on its own like that. These parts here will open up if you kind of pull this part out like that. You can see those yellow parts are, and I'm trying to hold this precisely because this part here, if you hold it, kind of squeezes these parts in, so you kind of want to be careful with kind of how you're holding this when you open that up like that. And then here at the front, these parts can also open up here like this as well. I think that's basically just supposed to be, this opens up here for the cannon, and this just kind of opens up as like a venting system here at the back. So you're meant to be able to turn these around. As you can see, those are connected via this articulated mechanical arm here, which you can move around. So when this is attached onto the back, you can kind of get the cannons out and into position however you might want to like that. And I'll show that to you guys in use here in just a second. Just a couple more things to note about the kit itself. Overall head height's coming out to about 13 centimeters there. There's a couple of armor moving gimmicks too. All the skirt armor moves, basically you can just like very slightly open up the skirt armor here at the front, the side skirts as well. Those will open up a little bit like that, and then the back skirts also kind of tricky to get to with big fingers, but you can slide this armor panel here on the back skirt as well for that to open up just slightly like that. You can see like the comparison between when it's open and closed. It's not a whole lot. It's a little bit of an effect there, but really not much to speak of. Otherwise, the articulation is going to be pretty good. Upward movement of the head is going to be a little bit limited. I wish that could come up a little bit more, but in the torso section here, you have a nice bend back and forward there. A little bit of a side to side here as well in the torso section. And then of course, rotation at the base. The elbows are going to be double jointed, so you can get a nice full bend there. This part here on the side, this part's attached via a ball joint and can wiggle around a little bit. And this part actually is kind of meant to open up a little bit there on the inside. I'm not sure if that's meant to just be, I think that's again, just sort of like meant to just be like a kind of venting system, just a little kind of armor opening gimmick there on the side of the forearm. The little flaps under the shoulder here can also move up and down a little bit there like that. And down here, these red bits of ankle armor can also move up and down. The front parts and side parts can move independently. And then when we bend the knee, you get a nice separation of this knee armor and a nice full bend here. Nice separation of the thigh armor there as well. So nice full bend there at the knee and separation of those bits of armor, which is really cool. Up underneath the feet, nice full detail there. You do have a toe bend of that up and down, and then just some really nice detail throughout. So let's take a look at the kit in a few different poses here. And now, like I said before, just a moment ago, I think that this blends in really well, kind of is really well disguised as an MGSD kit without being like obviously an official MGSD kit from Bandai, with it not being based on an actual Gundam design. The design does remind me a lot of the Wing Zero, actually. It's a lot of familiar elements from the Wing Zero, I feel like. But there's a lot of cool aspects to the design, and also just the color scheme. I really appreciate that. It basically takes the typical kind of like tricolor scheme of the Gundam, but then like tweaks it a little bit. We have a lot more red present on this, from the ankle armor to the big parts on the side of the arm, and then the white not being a pure white, but being this kind of light bluish gray color, and the blue not being a pure blue, but this darker navy color. So it's like that typical Gundam color scheme, but altered, and definitely has a really cool look to it, I think. And then just as I said, the stability of the kit is really nice as well. That metal frame is really nice, makes it feel quite hefty, quite sturdy. I do wish that the included display base was a little bit nicer. It's very basic, so I mean, it gives you something to use, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. So that's something that I would like to see on a future release, maybe a better base included. But otherwise, I think you do have a lot of really great posing options just with the kit itself, between the sword, which can be one massive sword or two separate swords. You have the rifle, which is just like kind of, it is what it is. It's not like the most interesting rifle design, to be honest, and doesn't have any particular gimmicks built into it either. We don't have any energy weapons at all, like a beam saber or anything like that, which is kind of interesting. That's usually kind of something that is just kind of typically included because it's only like a couple of parts. It's very easy to include as an additional weapon, but interesting that we don't have any beam sabers here. But you have those big cannons on the backpack, which is a really cool gimmick as well, whether you want to just have those just kind of there as just like the backpack, or actually opened up and and using them as cannons, it makes for a pretty cool look for sure. And then yeah, I was very impressed with the LED gimmick in this one as well. It's simple, it's just the light there in the head, but it's easy to turn on, it's nice and bright, it looks good, so it definitely was an LED gimmick that I really appreciate here with this one. So definitely a kit that I would recommend to you guys. I was excited about this one, and it definitely did not disappoint. I think it looks awesome. You do also have those waterside decals included as well you can put on there, a little bit of panel lining and the decals on there. I think this is gonna look even better, but definitely a fun little kit. And myself being a big fan of the MGSD kits, I really hope to see more kits like this from other third-party kits, basically like kind of third-party versions of MGSD. I definitely enjoyed this one, and I think you guys will too. Definitely check it out if you guys want to check it out for yourself. Check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. As always, if you have any other further questions about the kit, do let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this one? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're not yet subscribed, you can subscribe as well. I really appreciate it. You guys, thank you so much. Until next time, see y'all later. Bye guys.